Hello everyone, thank you for joining us today. I have Betsy along with me today.
Hello.
So I'm excited to have a buddy because do you think this is kind of a busy look?
We've got a lot going on today.
So I thought we'd just busy it up with another person.
Yeah.
So Betsy, take it away a little bit and tell everybody what we're going to talk about today.
Well, today we were talking about my favorite thing, which are prints. I like to mix prints, I like to wear a lot of prints, I like to wear bright colored prints, and we are celebrating that today. We're going to talk about how you pair things together, how you pair patterns with prints, because I know a lot of people have issues with that.
Right.
In fact, one of my favorite things to do is I have friends who invite me over and we pull out their pattern stash and then I pick out their fabric for them for every pattern. That's my favorite because they don't know how, like what proportion print goes with patterns.
Yeah, especially with large scale things and then small scale things. I think we have a tendency to be afraid of large scale prints, but that's, being in the fabric business for as long as we have been, 15 years ago, we had a little pile of prints to sell.
Yeah.
And now there's just this explosion of prints. And when you look at all the websites of boutiques and stores and runways and all of that, prints are everywhere.
Yeah.
And I used to relegate prints to the bottom so that I would be plainer up here, but I've been reversing that lately. So we'll talk about all of that. I think that'll be great. I think this is an opportunity also to talk about fabric. You know, we throw out names like everybody knows what all of these terms mean, but the fact is, not everybody, like all of us standing in this room, went to school and studied textiles.
Right.
So we say the word charmeuse or the word dobie or the word file or the word challis, and we think everyone knows what that means. So I pulled out my 3 favorite books. Do you own any of these books?
I don't. I
should.
I'm
going to buy them for you. Since you write all of the copy. I
do write all the copy.
But you always know what fabrics are, so it's not like you need this. But I'm kind of a textile junkie kind of person. I really like to read the interpretations of what fabrics really are. So these are my 3 favorite books. This little Fashion A to Z is just a cute book, and actually this is about as useful as any of them, to tell you the truth. Yeah. This one is the big mother lode from college, Fairchild's Dictionary of Textiles, and this is actually still in print. But I did notice that when I went to Amazon, you can buy this with the new pretty cover by someone else, it's the same book, for $100, or you can buy this old-fashioned version for $19 actually. Yeah. So, you know, who cares what the cover
original
is. But if you're into definitions and what fabrics are really like and how they're made, I suggest a book like this. This one is really interesting. First of all, it's beautiful. The photography is gorgeous in here. But this is a pretty solid book. This is less technical, unlike a kind of a college textbook. This really is, these are the words we're using now in the fabrics we're buying today. So I thought this is pretty new and a really gorgeous book. So I have some definitions here that I'm going to throw in every once in a while.
Well, you know, it gets so confusing. There's so many terms.
Right.
There's so many fabric terms that aren't used anymore that maybe we learned in school.
That's true.
It just, you know. So I think having the book, and you know, I do a lot of searching online when I'm writing the descriptions just to make sure. I'm like, is this what I think it is?
Yeah,
you know,
right.
Just to make sure.
In the old days, and I'm even older than Erin, but we both went to K-State, and you took textile class, right? And we had a notebook. Did you do this? And we had samples, and we'd stick them in the little box on the pages, and I thought it was a great exercise. And then more recently, I used to go to these trade shows, Original Sewing and Quilt Expo trade shows, and I taught a class where I had a form. You helped me put this together, I think, and people would cut their piece of fabric and paste it in there. And it was just amazing. People have sewn all their lives and maybe don't know what the word worsted means and what a worsted wool is. Right. Or everybody kind of knows what dupioni is as a silk, but they may not know what charmeuse is, or silk file, or things like that. So it was a great class, and I've toyed with the idea, we have toyed with the idea actually, of putting that together.
I think we should. I think it would be a really worthwhile class for people to have.
We could have a class, or we could have a sort of a workbook kind of thing. But I don't know if anybody wants to take that on. Come on over to Topeka and help us put together, because we're pretty busy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's always the problem with us, is we have great ideas and not all the time to put it all together.
Yep.
Well, what do you have on?
Well, I have on the Coco top, which has been turned into a dress. So
We don't have our little thing up here.
I know we don't have our hangy. So basically, how did I do this? It's been a little bit. I left the bottom band off.
Yeah.
And then I just put I widened the bottom band, put two, we got a thingy.
Yeah. Thank you, Erin.
Put 2 ties and then added a skirt. So the Coco has a zipper. I do not have a zipper. So I just
So you were
took
able to
it
get that
down.
on without a zipper. That's
Because
interesting.
when you untie it, I widened it a little at the bottom.
Yeah. I've made this in a knit and have not had to put the zipper in because it's stretchy enough.
Oh, yeah.
That's another thing to consider, because it looks great in a knit. Well, it's just darling.
Thank
now,
you.
did you maybe cut this in a teeny bit?
I think I took it in a little bit.
Yeah.
To-
It strikes
so
me
it
that when I'm
wasn't
looking at
so
it, that you
much.
came up here, maybe probably took this curve of the pattern and repositioned it.
I think so, because
Up.
I didn't want like so much here because I was widening
Right.
the base.
Yeah, when you wear it like this, you do have to wear something under it, because you're able to see into this armhole and check out the drab underwear that I wear. So a little cami or tank or something is always a good idea if you're going to wear it like this.
Yeah.
This is a really old pattern for us. We actually changed the name recently, and it's called the Coco. But it's just darling, and it's beautiful in a print. Of course, this has a very Asian style to it, and this particular print has a nice Asian style to it. The fabric that you used is right here.
Yeah, I love this fabric.
So is that an all silk fabric? I can't remember.
It's silk and I think it's actually silk and viscose.
Okay, silk and rayon, which is a good combination. So it has a charmeuse feel to it, and charmeuse is the type of silk that has a shiny face and a matte back to it. But this is this is what's interesting about fabrics today. They barely fall into these standard categories.
Right.
And I think that's just the technology of producing fabric now from all over the world, and the lines are getting a little bit blurred. So while I call this a charmeuse, it may very well be a habitai, which is more of a Japanese silk, which is more like what I call China silk. So at any rate, but it's a beautiful print.
It is. It's heavenly to wear, especially when it's so hot like it is here.
Yeah.
And I just threw it in the wash, actually. So.
Well, one of the properties of rayon or viscose is that it's cool to the touch and cool to wear. And I think silk is the same thing, actually.
Yeah.
We used to think of silk as being hot, but it's really not. It's a very cool fabric. So it's cool to the touch, so therefore it's cool to wear. And they wash beautifully.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Did you wash this?
I did. I just popped it in there and then I let it hang to dry.
And sometimes with saturated colors, like this has some red in it, sometimes you have to test that to make sure that the red doesn't bleed, or some deep, dark, rich color doesn't bleed, but obviously that didn't bleed.
No.
So it's probably the result of the viscose in it. That's because those don't bleed much. Silk can bleed a little bit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
well, you're a dress girl, and
Love a dress.
I tell you, we only have 1 or 2 or 3 dresses in our line, but I don't know. I keep looking at them, and they are so popular and so now everywhere. And Deb is a big dress person. Erin is a big dress person. I'm not I love dresses, but I don't have the skin to really pull it off too well, at least short ones. So anyway.
Well, I think you can make a dress out of anything. So.
Well, obviously, because you've done that.
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
To me, I look at the shirts and I'm like, what shirt can turn into a dress?
Well, some people make pants and construct them incorrectly, and they turn into a skirt.
There you go. There you go.
So, That's happened to me in workshops where people go, "What happened?" I said, "Well, you sewed the front to the front or the back to the back or whatever they did, and it wasn't pants anymore." All right, so Coco.
Coco.
All right, Coco Dress. I have on the Eureka, which we think of as a simple, short T-shirt normally, but we put it together. I think we put this together a year or so ago. I've kind of forgotten.
I think it was August So Confident last year.
There you go, Miss Technical.
I think.
Yeah. Well, that's close enough. And we pieced it in various fabrics, and even though they're a similar drape and weight, most of them are viscose rayon, and rayon is super drapey. And so all of them have similar properties, even though some have a crepe texture to them, some are smooth, some are a little bit lighter weight. I don't think we cared about that. We just put it together. So this is an opportunity to pull out some fabrics that you have, maybe add to them from some of these great sale fabrics that we're going to tell you about, and just have some fun. Even though this is kind of planned out, and it's a class, right?
It is a class.
You could buy this class for how to do this precisely.
Yeah.
Or you could just make some fabric.
Yeah, and play with it.
And play with it and move your tissue pattern around and let it fall where it may, and it probably would turn out fantastic. But if you do want to know exactly how this is made, then we have it.
You should show them the back too.
Yes.
So the back is longer than the front. Which
earlier today, the back was shorter because I had it on backwards. But yes, the back is longer.
Yeah. But I mean, if you've got scraps or you just get half yards of things or just a yard of thing, cut it up, put it back together, make a giant pieced piece,
right,
and then play with your patterns.
Exactly. This could be longer into a dress. You would do that.
Yeah.
It could be partially pieced and the rest of it solid. You could have some piecing either at the bottom as a big wide band or something like that, and the rest of it plain, or vice versa. This could be kind of pieced up in here, and then
cut a yoke.
You could cut a yoke
and have a print yoke and the rest solid, or vice versa.
I'm going to be working on I am taking a sewing vacation starting
in an hour.
In 1 hour.
We're kicking her out.
Have you ever taken a sewing vacation?
I never have. No.
Well, it's been a long time. Back in the day when I owned the sewing workshop in San Francisco, the sewing school, we used to do week-long sewing retreats in Asilomar. And we would just sit and sew for a week. And that's been a long time for me to do that. And yes, we do our Chateau du Mont thing and all that, but I'm teaching, so it's not like I can sit and immerse myself in my fabric and my sewing machine. But I am leaving right after this to go and sew for basically 4 days. And so anyway, I have my piles. Now I had a point about that, and I've long forgotten it because I went on and on about something that wasn't as important. I'm
trying to think of what we have.
Oh yes, I know what it is. So we have this Eureka top that is knit on the front and woven on the back. That's where I was going with this. And so I used a woven fabric for the sleeve bands and a woven fabric to bind the neck. And so you can combine knits and wovens. Okay, that's where I was going with it.
And with that, because I feel like someone's going to ask, someone almost always asks, if you do combine a knit and woven, you're just going to use your same size, correct?
Yes, I am just going to use my same size. In fact, generally with our patterns, I rarely shift sizes, whether it's in a woven or a knit. Theoretically, we all learned that if you are using a pattern that's kind of built for a woven and you're going to make it in a knit, you can go down a size. I really don't do that. And likewise, but I tend to not use patterns that are made for a knit for a woven. I don't go that direction very often.
Okay.
Although
with the Eureka.
Well, with the Eureka, there's a lot of ease, and you're right, it doesn't really matter. Yeah.
Now, if you are combining a woven and a knit, do you need to make sure the drape is similar?
Yeah, I think so.
Like you don't want to do
as I say that, this Eureka that we have made, actually the knit was drapier than the woven. And because I created a yoke in the knit and then hung the woven on the back of it, it didn't really make any difference. So but that's the difference between fronts and backs rather than pieced sections.
Right.
So if you had knit here and woven here that were completely different in drape, that might be a problem.
be,
But I could have done the back in something totally different character of fabric or something
Okay.
like that. So
Okay.
I just made that up. That sounded pretty good, didn't
It did sound good.
Okay.
I like
All
it.
right. So at any rate, I have on Helix pants. So I walked out today with this on with my Picasso pants, which have a different profile. And everybody said, you need to change your clothes. And they were right. So I think when you wear something with this much ease and this kind of length, you need a slimmer leg width. And so the Helix pants for me, which are in a ponte knit, seem to be perfect. I have rolled them up.
I was just going to comment. I like that they're a little shorter.
Well, I rolled them up because it's summer. I might not do this in the winter, but because I might have socks on and different kinds of shoes, but it just felt lighter.
Yeah. And I think with your sandals and you're showing like a little bit of ankle, it does make it lighter and kind of breezier. And an ankle tends to be.
It's the same. I had lunch the other day with a really good friend who, her idea of dressing up, she's not into clothes at all. She's not a sewer, but her idea of dressing up is to put on a black t-shirt.
Oh.
Okay, so we were sitting there and her t-shirt sleeves came to her elbow. And I said to her, why don't you just roll those sleeves up just a couple of times? It totally changed how she looked. It's the same thing with the pants. Sometimes you roll up the pants, sometimes you don't. Sleeves are the same way. This length of sleeve can work on Erin. I'm not sure why. It's her whole
She's so long.
division of how she's built. She can do that. But a lot of us have to roll this up just to give us a little more arm that changes the proportion of how that looks in total.
Well, and it's kind of like I go here.
Yeah.
Or I go here.
Right.
But
Or you go here.
Or I go here. For here. But I think that's because it's so blousy.
It's
a little
drapey
bit
and it's on the diagonal and it's not a tight, it's totally different. But I had to teach you about that. No, I'm the same way. I tend to, even if I have long sleeves, I'm rolling them up. I think I look better. I think everybody looks better with rolled up sleeves. Even though the styles today are sleeves down to here, which I don't completely understand. I understand that it's just a new trend. But I don't see that on the streets exactly.
No, but I have to admit that I have a fleecy warm top that has like the thumb hooks.
Oh.
And in the winter it's very cozy.
Well, that's
Put your thumb hooks in there.
yeah. I don't know how to construct that. Do you? Have you ever made that?
Oh, no.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's look at some garments, I guess, and we'll show some fabrics.
Sure.
All right. So this is the Zayn
That's the Zayn.
top, which looks good in a knit or a woven.
So this is a woven. It's a little bit heavier. It's almost got like a sateen kind of heavy feel to it.
You said the magic word. Would you like me to give you the, I'm so sorry about my voice.
Let's get the definition here.
Yeah, all right, so here are my definitions. So I looked up the difference between satin and sateen. So first of all, charmeuse is a satin weave. And when you have satin, you have these floats of yarn over you have floating over weft yarns. Weft is crosswise, warp is lengthwise.
Okay.
So you have these floating yarns that cross over, let's say, 4 little weft yarns.
Okay.
I think I'm backwards on that.
We need some.
It's floating this way. Okay. Satin, the floats are vertical. Sateen, same construction, only it's horizontal.
Okay.
You and I won't be able to tell the difference probably.
Right. Unless we.
But technically, see, I love stuff like that. So this can be contrasted. This is a piece here, kind of this drapey skirt part that can be contrasted in a different fabric. We've done that a few times.
So really you have 3 big pieces in the front that you could play with if you wanted to do something like that Eureka, but you didn't want to have to cut up the pattern and make the thing simple. You do that. You've got 2 sleeves. This, of course, is a big, loud, fun print, but you could do tiny prints, you could do medium prints, you could do a solid and have 1 block of print just as a pop.
We have a zipper in it in the back because it's a woven. But you could have a keyhole opening if you chose to do that. You could open up the neckline a little bit so you wouldn't have to have any sort of closure at all. This is a sleeve that might be the wrong length on some people. We were just talking about it. This, you wouldn't want to roll this up, but if you did, you would want to face it or have the fabric turned back deeper or extend the sleeve length.
And to me, this, because it's got like the width to it, you're going to wear it, like you said, with a slimmer pants. And during the summer, maybe something a little bit shorter, so you've got a little more air around your legs. But it's long enough that it's going to cover all the things that it needs to cover.
Right.
So
Exactly.
So no worries there.
So we have some cottons over here. Let's just pull out a couple of 3 that we think might work. You know, this.
Love that one.
Yes, I knew you would because it has pink in it.
It's got pink and green.
Now this obviously is a directional print, and it goes more this way, but that would be incredible for a Zayn, and it's a similar weight to what we've made it in.
Yeah, it's nice and crisp. It's a
Nice, just good cotton. More traditional.
and more subtle. This little guy.
This is a sort of Liberty of London-esque fabric, but it's not a Liberty of London, but it's a very nice cotton nevertheless. But this tiny little print on a blue that has pink and yellow and white and probably something else in there, green and all that.
Yeah.
So it's a great little print.
It's like a little ditzy print. Isn't that
Little
what they
ditzy
call
print,
those?
yep. If you're feeling ditzy today,
This is your print.
this is your print.
We'll
Yeah.
pull out that interesting seersucker.
Oh, yeah. So seersucker, I looked up
Yes.
I happened to look up the definition of seersucker. So this is a seersucker base that's been overprinted. And seersucker there's a whole thing about how they make seersucker, but basically it's stripes that are in different, one stripe is crinkled and the other stripe is not.
Okay.
And so that's how seersucker is made. And so it's permanent. You can't press out these
Suckers,
suckers.
for lack of a better word.
I was going to say that, but I let you. But this has sort of a traditional flavor to it, but yet I think it's very, very unique, and because of the overprint, you don't see that very often on a seersucker, because seersuckers are not generally printed.
No, normally they're just the check
Yeah.
or whatever.
Exactly.
But this one I like. It's a little more neutral than the rest of the prints. Like you could do this with some taupe or camel or cream and
Exactly. Actually, it'd just be nice, just pretty tonal. You're right, like you said. Yeah, it's nice. Well, do we want to show anything else here?
well, I really like that one on the end with the flowers. That one you have
This
in your
one.
hand. Yeah.
Yes.
This is another, I think, more subtle print for a quiet print, if you will. But you know, navy and roses. That's lovely.
The face of this has a nice
Sheen to it.
it's a
little
sheen, but not shiny. It's just a smooth face to it. It does say something,
bit. It
doesn't
says
it?
smile girl.
Smile girl. I like that. Yeah. Great colors. Navy blue with pinks and light green.
I think this would be a great cottage shirt.
This would make a great cottage shirt.
It's a great weight for it. It's got a little bit of drape. I think
Yeah.
it would work really well for that.
Yeah.
That's what I see for that. And we want to show this guy.
Come on in here, Deb.
And we have a live
Yes.
sample of
So
this
we have
fabric.
we've had this fabric
Here, you get in the
for a
middle.
little while, and it sits on the shelf like this. So we always think of it as a little navy and white little ditty. Well, Deb, of course, who
But in
sees
fact-
all the fabrics, realizes that when you...
It's a very long panel. There it is. Is it? Yeah, something like that.
Here's the panel. This is upside down. We'll get to see it on her. So it's offset to one side, and this shows up every yard and a half or so. I think this is really interesting. And so we've been thinking about what to do with it. she's not mic'd, so we're going to talk for her.
Yeah.
But she took this and made it into a Eureka dress. So the Eureka is what I have on.
Pockets.
But she, and I recall you saying to me that you had wanted this panel to be more offset. And so it's slightly offset, but I think it's very cool. So it's not so predictable. It's not just plunked right in the middle.
Or like in the middle of a back. I feel like that's
Exactly.
kind of the other place to do it.
We've kind of
like
done that thing.
But she's done a nice little shirt tail hem here.
Yes.
And she's got some pockets in there. But you know, the panel is so big, you get so much of the blue. It's nice that it's a big enough panel that you can really use it.
Right.
You know, sometimes they're too small and you just can't quite use it.
Right.
But I think this really works out well.
Right. So normally there's a neck binding on this. She's just created a bias binding and sewn that on. And you've turned up your sleeves, which you can do on a Eureka or not. I think it's just totally darling. So good for you. Yeah, we were pulling fabrics last week, and she said, "Well, I have a dress out of that." I went, "Okay,
bring it in.
Bring it in.
Let's see it."
All right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Cute. All right.
Sorry we didn't let
you.
you talk.
That's okay.
All right. Let's see.
Well, we're
kind of over
lightweight,
here.
So let's talk maybe the Ikena.
All right.
Let's talk Ikena. So some of you remember this from last year. That was another So Confident project, was the Ikena 2 jacket. We re-released it. It's got some piping detail, which I love, and it's got pockets. And it is perfect for all of those beautiful flowy fabrics.
Exactly. And what I'm seeing coming through on my emails and looking at Instagram and so forth is jackets just like this that are even longer. And they're not robes. They're wearable, flowy jackets.
Almost like a duster.
Duster, that's a
way.
good word for
Yeah.
it. So you're right, it takes, I think, the drape. So that puts it more in, less over here where the cottons are, and more into the silks and viscose fabrics.
Because I think if you do it too stiff, it's just going to be
Right. Right.
it's going to be kind of puffy.
I wouldn't make this out of cotton. I wouldn't make this out of Dupioni. I wouldn't make this out of corduroy. I wouldn't make much out of corduroy, but whatever.
No, so you want your silks, you want your rayons.
Yeah.
So here we've got some beautiful. Now this,
Well,
and a long duster needs to go on vacation. Doesn't
Yes,
it?
this is one of our favorite fabrics.
I love
actually.
this fabric.
It's cotton and silk, correct? So the silk has added the drape to it. This is semi-sheer,
It is.
super flowy, semi-transparent, semi-sheer.
Yeah. What I like about it is that it has that tropical vibe, which really is everywhere. That keeps coming back. We keep seeing it in the
Right.
fabrics we're sent. But the colors are really interesting. It's almost like a melon pink with a little bit of gold and black. So it's a much more sophisticated palette
Right.
than your classic tropical.
This is a very unique print. I don't know that I've ever seen anything quite like it, and we purchased it from someone out of the country, and they only do very limited edition prints, and when this is gone
Yeah,
forever.
Yeah.
So
So she's
Yeah,
a
this
beauty.
is
But
gorgeous.
I think Ikena in that would be lovely.
exactly. So
We've got a little thing that I made out of this. I
Yes.
love this print. I think it's so funny. We actually have two. I'm going to bring it up close so you can see it. This is a designer print, a whimsical print that features eyes and lips and what look like kind of toothbrushes, but I don't think they are.
I hadn't noticed that, but
Well, don't they look
you're
like the
right.
back
They
of
do look a
toothbrush?
little bit.
But they don't have a brush through them.
No.
And
We'll call them squiggles.
squiggles. And my favorite part
Although they
is
all
that
are near the mouths, I see.
they
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
My favorite part is that some of the mouths have braces on them. I don't know that you can see that. I'm gonna get up close. And as someone who had braces for a very long time, I feel like I had to have it. So what I did, she got wrinkly in the car, but this, and you guys might remember, is a MixIt shirt with a Eureka neckline, and then I added puffy sleeves.
Whew.
It's a thinker. That's what this is.
So it's the same neckline that I have on from the Eureka. The MixIt shirt.
No, top. MixIt top.
Correct. You can always tell the difference. The MixIt top has darts.
Yes. So it's the MixIt top because I like the darts. I like it a little bit more fitted, but it's got a stand-up collar, and I just wanted a scoop collar. And then these are just sleeves that I had from something else that I liked.
Yeah, this sleeve, I'm seeing this everywhere.
Yeah.
In all kinds of drapey fabrics such as this, but also in crisp cottons and organzas and those kinds of fabrics. So the sleeve, everything's about the sleeve.
Yeah.
I wore a shirt in today, and we were studying the sleeve, and we're gonna, I think next year, So Confident's gonna have some sleeve things going on. So.
I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, but this is great fabric. So this fabric comes in both the white background, the navy background, super drapey. We like.
Beautiful
I
silk.
think this is charming, fun, novelty, but not silly or anything. It's a beautiful fabric. So it is. See, that's one of those fabrics that's kind of a charmeuse, but kind of a habitai. It's a little lighter weight than a charmeuse, I think.
And also, if the whimsy of it seems too much, when you're far away from it, you don't really see it. It's only when you get up close that you're like, oh, it's
exactly
like this kind of funny print.
Exactly.
So I like it.
I think this is very possibly Erin's favorite fabric on the planet. And I have a tendency to agree with her, because this is elegant and beautiful. Hold this just a second.
Sure.
I'm going to look on the selvage here, because it's all silk. Tessuti, I never know exactly what these mean on the selvages, but this is pure silk, and this has a twill weave with a little jacquard dot to it. So this is not just your off-the-shelf ordinary fabric. This is high-end designer, beautiful drape for a twill, I have to say. So there's this gorgeous floral print to it, but it has texture, and interesting texture. So we all have a piece of this in our stashes. None of us have bothered to make anything yet, but this is, and when this is gone, this is kind of the fabric too. We buy this from a supplier in New York who buys fabrics in Italy, and again, when they're gone, they're gone.
So what are you going to make yours
with? I think this has to be something like an Ikena jacket for me.
Got it.
Or a Tremont jacket. It's a jacket for me.
Erin, what about you?
Valencia Pants. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, it's got a beautiful drape for Valencia Pants. That's a great idea. We have a pair of Valencias over there, if you want to grab them just to show.
Oh, yes.
These are my Valencia pants, although I did the flat front. So it's just a straight leg.
No side seam.
Yeah, one seam pant.
These are the easiest pants to make that we have. This fabric is right there.
Yep. Now this is one of the brighter tropicals that I was talking about earlier, but I think it's really fun.
Yes.
And I have a little bit more fabric left, and I'm gonna do a matching top, so I've got a full ensemble.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's the look too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Top and bottom.
Just as a side note, this is the pant that has the flat waistband in the front, elastic in the back, and it's available extra small to XXL, and then 2X to 5X. We have plus sizes in this pants pattern. But the fact that it doesn't have side seam, you don't have to do any matching.
Right.
And you don't have any tendency for things to hike up if you have trouble with seams that are a little bit stiffer than the fabric, which, by the way, happens if you use polyester thread instead of cotton, but that's another story. Okay, well, I think these are darling.
Yeah.
Erin made a pair of pants, the West End pants, which is one of her favorites, and mine too. This might be the back. Which shows you, again, you don't have to go all out with the wild print, but definitely printed pants are a very solid trend. A little smaller scale.
And I think if you are someone who's concerned about prints near your face, and I know there are a lot of people who are concerned about that, pants are a great way to use a print, because you can have a solid shirt, you can have a little solid jacket, and so at first glance, you're pretty neutral, and then you get this pop at the bottom.
Exactly.
So,
yeah, this could be just even as simple as a cream top, blue denim blue top. You could wear it with denim, actually, something like this. So there's several fabrics over here that I think work really well for either the Valencias or the
West Ends.
West Ends. Whoops.
This I think is really cute.
Yeah, now this is a fabric that has a texture also to it. So
like
this would
little...
probably be called Adobe
Okay.
weave, D-O-B-B-Y. And Adobe weaves are just, it's sort of a general category for small geometric textures woven into the fabric.
Okay.
And that's what this has. It's funny, I remember in college being very confused about what Adobe meant. I still am. But nevertheless, it's just one of those catch-all, I think,
An
type.
umbrella term. Kind
Yeah,
of thing.
for small textures that are woven. So, but I think this would make fantastic pants.
Because the print is somewhat regimented, would you try to match it if you were doing something with this?
I think I would match a general carry through of
Placement.
a stripe, so to speak. I would not try to match the flowers
Okay.
at a side seam, say. I would just make sure that this carries through,
Okay.
or this, either one. In fact, it would be nice if you'd have some space towards the seams, so you're not,
So you don't have to,
having this and then this right next to it, perhaps. A little planning, but no, I wouldn't. This is now, if I were making an Ikena jacket in this, I would probably match the pockets.
Okay.
Small details like that. Or maybe maybe on an Ikena jacket I would even do a contrasting front band, so I'm not dealing with that pattern again.
Yeah.
You know, a beautiful red or black or whatever solid color or a little stripe or something. Mix that up.
Yeah.
But pants wise, yeah, a general thinking about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. I love it when you don't have to match.
Yeah, I'm a big one for not having to match if we don't have to.
If I can get out of it, I'm
This
into
one
it.
is interesting. This is it's a challis weight, but it is creped. So it's been woven with a twisted yarn. And every time you have a fabric that has a crepe texture to it, then first of all, it's a little easier to sew because it grabs. It's not as slippery. And even though it does wrinkle, as you can see over here, that's because it's been wadded up on the shelf. But generally, you don't really have to maintain the pressing of a garment that's made out of a fabric like this. You can kind of let it do its thing.
It's got a beautiful drape.
The color is incredible. This beautiful pink coral.
Yeah.
It has a very traditional look to it, and yet the colors are not exactly. The colors are more modern. We have a tendency to hold up the fabrics that have more to them.
Yes.
There are a lot of these that have small quantities.
Or their end cuts.
Or their end cuts. So if you like something, you probably ought to grab it, because we're not sure if we're even going to be able to keep up with the orders. Somebody may be disappointed if we say we have it and we actually don't. So we will apologize ahead of time on that.
We are trying to keep up with it.
Yeah, we're trying to be
I
good about
needed
it.
to bring this out because
Well,
I think
yeah.
it's so beautiful.
So this is silk, right?
Let me double
it
check,
have
but I
anything in
think so. It is rayon.
Really? Well, interesting. This is a twill weave. And so there's just a whole different character to how this feels. This has a weighty drape. So this would be great for pants. It's not going to be wispy. It's got good hang to it, as I call it. Great pants, great, fabulous Ikena jacket. I think it would make, what else do we have in here?
The Hugo Dress.
The Hugo Dress. So the Hugo is another one of our short sleeve, somewhat summery garments, or I think of it as a summer garment. But this has been lengthened, and oh my gosh, that would be incredible.
Even just the short Hugo in that blue silk, I think, is kind of a similar weight. Am I incorrect about that?
This is similar. It's a little lighter weight, but yeah,
okay.
it's got the same drape and beauty to it. So, yeah, this is a winner.
Yeah.
Definite winner. Speaking of Hugo's, we do have not this colorway, but we do have the same fabric in a red and white version.
A little bit.
Yeah, not much of it, but it's a great fabric. It has a little bit of nylon in it, and just a teeny bit, and that nylon is what keeps this kind of permanently crinkled. So the nylon is in the cross weave of it, and that's holding the texture. That's the only reason that you usually see nylon in fabrics.
Interesting. I think we should talk about these two, which you happen to be wearing.
Well, I do happen to be wearing. So this fabric is right here. So part of something darker was cut out of this. It's all over. I think it's in the back as well.
Yep. Oh, and actually, this guy's in your.
Yeah, it has this. And yeah, these two, this, and
then I think the tiger, which is not represented.
We don't have any more of the tiger, but this is a challis. But see, this is what we're talking about. Here's a lightweight traditional challis, which is just a plain weave fabric that you generally see in florals and paisleys, and we think of it mostly as wool challis, but challis can show up in rayons and other fabrics as well. Then here's this, which is a totally different character of fabric. More
polyester. It's a little bit heavier.
Yeah, it's polyester. So talk about no wrinkle.
Yeah.
That's why we wear polyester, is so that we don't have to worry about the wrinkles.
But so I think for someone putting fabrics together, like to me, when I look at that shirt, the defining kind of characteristic is the color. So even though they don't all have the same color, there's these pops of teal that kind of run through it, and then pops of gold. So you can put really different prints together if they've got like kind of a coordination to them.
There's a color coordination, and there's a thought about scale. So you have a large scale, a mid scale, a smaller scale, a non-floral, because these are two florals. There's probably another floral in here as well. But you can see that they all vary in scale. So you wouldn't be, to me, it's not as great if you, let's say, use 5 mini prints.
Right. You'll look like a quilt.
Yeah, this would be this would be a nice mixer maybe, although it's cotton, but not as good for
No, I think
mixing. I remember Kathy Davis is the one who I think picked out this one initially. And she just went back to the fabric stash and started pulling. We all have more fabric than we will ever admit, actually. And it was just and she threw them out, and then it was a process of editing, pulling away. You squint a little bit, you stand back, you look at it one day, you come back the next day, you look at it again, put back in, edit again. So,
and sometimes I lay stuff out on the floor. And then, like, maybe you fold one fabric so you just see a little bit, so you can see how much of each print you want in your final garment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So mix these, or Ikena jackets are perfect. Jackets.
I think this would be a great gardenia dress because you would see the full print.
Yes.
You get the full length for it.
That's right.
This is a great...
So here's another mixture thing. This is the Eureka skirt. So we've been talking about the Eureka top, and this is the skirt pattern that's included in the same pattern. So we have this fabric, which I love. We don't have this colorway, but we have this colorway, which I think is just great. And then I bet we could find something on this wall that would replace this.
Right.
But it doesn't matter. There's
maybe that. Like that right there.
Maybe that right there. Yes, there we go. That would make another skirt. And the skirt is basically reversible. So the front is the same as the back. You can wear it front or back, or you can wear it, here. This is another way to wear this skirt, this is the way we designed it, but this is a way that some people wear it, which changes how it drapes. Get this together. It changes how it drapes, and where the V's are. So now this is hanging a little bit straighter and looks more like an A-line. So it's interesting skirt. So you can't wear it wrong.
Yeah.
All right. What else do we have here?
Oh, what you've got your hand on.
All right. Well, you all have seen this. I think I did a Facebook Live on it. We still have some, not a lot, of the bird print.
Which is that guy right there.
Yeah. So a little bit left. Notice I've changed, let's see, I think I changed the placement, the size of the buttons, and this has the collar from the Zayn shirt on it. So it has two collars instead of the traditional collar and stand of the Cottage.
But, yeah, I was going to say, but it is the Cottage. But this is a great example of the size, mixing of the sizes of the prints. So you've got your large print, this little floral is kind of medium, you've got a small polka dot. So.
And the back has a yoke, so you can have another fabric there.
Yeah.
All right, what else do we have up here? Anything that we haven't talked about?
I don't think so.
I think we are almost through our inspirations.
I do want to talk about the...
Yeah, you were saying that you thought this would make a great Hugo dress.
I think it'd be pretty.
Yes, I think a dress is a good idea. I think this would make a great Eureka skirt.
Oh, that's true.
I also think you could do something like this, where you cut this, you cut this, you cut this, and everything is going to coordinate because it came from the same fabric.
Yeah.
Same weight, same colorway, all of that.
And then this, I think, would be great pants.
Perfect pants. This has, again, a permanent crinkle to it. It's very lightweight. It is rayon, I think. Yes, rayon, but it's got that little tiny bit of nylon in it that holds that texture together. Very abstract and painterly, and I think really pretty.
Yeah.
Have we missed anything interesting?
You know, I did want to pull out this guy, sorry.
Yes.
Because it's hard to see, I think, online, and it's hard to see rolled up.
This is a beautiful piece of machine embroidery.
I think it's actually upside down, but you get the idea.
So Erin had a caftan that she made a couple years ago, and we thought about that. This has that sort of beachy, vacation-y, long dress, caftan-y jacket thing going on. But there's enough white space in this that there are certain garments that you could cut, blouse type, shorter garments where this could be a bottom panel. Again, upside down, but it's a beautiful piece of machine embroidery. This is not printed. It has a little bit of metallic to it, has some printing to it, but it's a nice piece of embroidery.
Or the bottom of a pant.
Bottom of the pants would be interesting. Yeah, not for everybody, only you.
But I don't wear pants. So.
That's true. This one we never talk about, and I think it's beautiful.
And this is a silk and cotton mix.
Yep.
It's got a little bit of a shiny pin dot to it. I think of it as a pin dot. And what almost looks like paper cut birds to me.
They look like birds. They also look like little hangers. They also look like
oh, they do.
Fishing flies. Is that what you call them? That's probably not a great word to use to describe these, but just great little colors in it. And again, this is a Dobie weave because it has a geometric back to it, or ground to it. It's very soft and pretty. All right. I think we do have one Liberty on sale.
We do.
Yeah, that's a rare thing for us to have a Liberty on sale, let me tell you. Liberty of London, the best cotton on the planet. But this is a really pretty one, and we just don't have very much left. So you
can take advantage.
You can take advantage, yes. Yes.
But yeah, so are you going to be sewing any prints on your sewing vacation?
I am.
Good.
I'm sewing a Balboa shirt, which you'll see in a couple of weeks for Facebook Live in a huge print.
Fun.
Huge print. I'm doing another print in a Venice with a short sleeve.
Cute.
No collar. I'm sewing a Eureka top with a woven back in a print. Yeah, it's all prints.
All right.
Prints. So
well, You've got
I'm into it.
a busy schedule.
I have
You better
7
be going.
projects ready to go for 4 days. I don't think that's probably going to happen. You know how we all are overzealous in
Right.
what we think we can accomplish.
But you got it all together, so that's important.
Do we have any questions?
Yes, so I believe someone wants to see the large floral print that's red and pink and green and turquoise. You just have to hand on it, right?
This one? Or this one?
That one?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is an amazing print. This reminds me of Marimekko.
That scale and the colors really do.
Now, obviously, I would make a Zayn or something like that out of this. But I did make drapery panels for my daughter's first apartment out of this, and they were fabulous.
That's cool.
So pillows, you could think home deck a little bit on this, maybe a throw at the end of a bed, have all white bed, and then this is kicking at the bottom.
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah,
So.
that'd be great.
Yeah.
Does she still have those curtain
She
panels?
moved, and she has them, but they're not hung.
okay.
They don't fit those windows anymore.
Not on display.
Yeah, but she didn't leave them. Thank you. Thank you very much, Alex.
Okay, they want to see the teal and pink fabric.
This one?
You guys are taking that one down.
Yep.
Oh, got it. It's so cool.
We're not putting this back up.
I don't think that's a good idea.
Very nice.
This is heavy,
Oh, it is.
weighty fabric,
We have.
which means it's super slimming.
Yeah.
Anytime you can't hold a fabric up, it's going to make you
look
skinny.
really good.
Yeah. Here, let's just put it down here. Yeah. Okay.
So the Liberty print that you had out, what are the colors? How would you describe the
Well,
colors?
it is a black background,
Kind of a navy flower.
navy flower
A little
with
bit
a little ochre, little yellow ochre, a little alizarin crimson.
of. Someone's been playing with her paints.
Yeah, I've been playing with my paints again. Aqua, peach,
Yeah.
red orange, burnt, burgundy.
Like
But-
to me, the colors, like if you glance at it, it's kind of a rusty red, navy, and black.
Yeah.
All right, there's a couple questions about your Coco dress, Betsy.
Mm-hmm.
So if you wanted to add gathered tiers to the Coco dress, how much fabric do you think each tier would need?
If I wanted to add gathered tiers to the dress, so like, say 3 down, whew, that's a thinker.
Well, you would want
I'd need
to add, like the first tier could be a width of fabric. The second tier could be a width and a half,
and then
something like
two
that,
on
and
the
then you
bottom.
figure out your lengths.
Yeah. Yeah.
Depends on how much fluff you want.
Exactly.
Because you could go a double width on some fabrics. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of, and the length, so it's hard to,
Yeah.
what I would get
And
probably
like one
would be-
tier might be 9 or 10 inches.
And I'd probably
Another
go
one would be 15 inches. Another one could be 20, 22 inches, something like that. This is a time where I think you need to get your pencil out
Yeah.
and take that schematic of the Coco and draw it, trace that, and then start and figure out the proportion of how tall you are, and then start drawing layers, levels.
It's a great idea, though. I think
It
it'd
is
be
a
really
great
cute.
idea. Well, that's just everywhere.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
tiered
the
dress
tiered
thing is
skirts.
everywhere. Yeah.
A couple people would love to have the Coco as a dress pattern.
Betsy can work on that in her spare time.
Well, maybe I could put together a blog for it.
Yeah, that
Because
would be
it really,
good.
it wasn't difficult at all. I'll work on that.
Okay, that's a good idea.
And then, can you tell them what the original name of the Coco? I had 2 people.
It was the
I think
wonton.
It was the wonton. The Coco is now a digital pattern. The wonton was a print pattern.
If you're making a Zayn, can you pull out a couple fabrics that would go together?
Sure.
Okay.
challenge.
It is a little bit of a challenge.
Well, so if you wanted to do something bluey and moody, you could do the panel.
Right.
And then you could get Miss Liberty here to go with it. And maybe even, you could even go dark with that rose, or you could pop it with something lighter. Or really, you just
I think you use these two and you incorporate a bit of that, even if it's just the border of it, without the white panel, just this part right here.
Yeah.
Because this goes really well with that.
I think those two.
I was kind of looking at something along the lines of this, but maybe.
Oh, fun.
Probably could incorporate that.
You could do
There has to be something that works with this.
this guy. Well, we've got a couple friends of
Oh,
theirs
yes.
over there. Actually, I wonder if the bird print would look well with this too. Like
All
that
right,
maybe
so
is too similar. Do you think?
Maybe.
What do you think?
The size might be too similar.
Yeah.
Bird. Come here, bird. Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, that is interesting.
Does that look good together, Erin?
I like those two.
Mhm.
That might be a good. There was another question about like how you would pair if you did a top and a pant and you were mixing things. So
Ah.
I think these would be. That's a nice combination.
Erin said that there's another question about pairing prints for a top and a pant, and she thought this would be a good pant with
I'm gonna
bird top fabric.
Reach behind you.
Okay. Well, that's
I like
nice
this
too.
together.
We put that together a lot when we had those kids.
Yeah. And another thing, and I don't know if it's too pinky, but would this go well with it?
Yes. Yes,
And it's
yes.
got a little bit of that gold in there and a little bit of that blue. It's pretty. Yep.
Hopefully that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's a couple ideas for you.
Whoops.
Now there's a couple questions about specific fabrics that they may not see online, so you might mention that there could be some that are already sold out.
There's some questions about fabrics that people aren't seeing online. Some of these were made into cuts, so they may be sold out already. Like we said, some of them have just a little bit on the bolt. So if you don't see them, they're probably gone.
Yeah.
Can you give more detail about what challis is, its structure and qualities?
Well, there are basically three categories of, the question is a little more information about challis. There are three categories of how you make fabric, and it's plain weave and satin weave, and I've forgotten the third one off the top of my head, but a lot of fabrics fall into the category of plain weaves. And so plain weave is you just have a straight lengthwise fiber and a crosswise fiber, a weft and a warp and a weft. So a challis is a plain weave fabric. Originally, it had a connotation of being printed in like hunting scenes and dark smoky room type, men's club
British
looking,
men-
British, paisleys and prints such as that. And it used to be mostly wool, but now they're making it in rayon. There are cotton challis, silk challis, every fiber now. So in terms of the construction of the fabric, it's just a plain weave fabric that is smooth and no crimping, no twisting to the yarns. Very, very, very smooth fabric.
Yeah.
Refined and drapey.
And then they asked about twiddle. You said something about how there was fabric that had a nice drape for a twiddle.
Yeah, that was
This one, I think.
either that one or this one, either one.
So the question was about a nice drape for a twill.
Yeah, well, we think of twills as something that you would make sturdy pants out of.
Yeah, almost
like dockers.
Almost like a canvasy. Yeah.
That's the traditional twill. So it's a sturdy sort of weave.
Yeah, like a workman wear.
workman's weave. And those kinds of fabrics don't have any drape whatsoever. But when you put them into using silk or rayon, then that changes the character. But the twill weave is simply a design, and there's probably more to the definition of twill. I could probably dig in that book and find out a better definition for you. But twill is a diagonal line. One of the fabrics that's most noted for being a twill is gabardine, wool gabardine, which we never carry because wool gabardine is so difficult to make, to sew, press. It's a great fabric, sturdy, holds up nicely. That's why so many uniforms, suits, and that kind of thing are made out of gabardine. But I'll never forget this. We had a teacher at the sewing workshop by the name of Charmaine Fouché who wrote an article for Threads called Taming Gabardine. Well, that tells you right there you don't want to sew it. So we don't carry it. But when these beautiful prints come along that happen to be a twill weave, has nothing to do with the need to be sturdy or anything like that. It just happens to be a characteristic of the fabric because it's silk.
Okay, a couple questions about the Eureka. How much length is added to the Eureka top to make a dress? And I think this refers to Deb. And did she change the side seams?
So this is a question about Deb's Eureka dress, asking how much length she added. I would say that is, you need to measure yourself and see how much length you need to add. Because hers was what?
Yeah, I don't think there's any standard length. As I recall, this is like 9 or 10 inches longer than the original pattern. Hers could be 20, 24 inches longer, but you're right. You need to stand in front of a mirror with a tape measure or
measure a dress you like, see
measure
how
a
long
dress
it
you
is.
like and figure out how long you want it.
Because someone short like me might add 20 inches
Right.
and Erin might add 30.
So the Eureka is too wide for me. What is the best way to bring it in?
Make a smaller size.
What if she's already small?
Oh, don't make it.
Oh, the question was the Eureka is too wide for someone. How should she bring it in? I will say the MixIt Eureka shirt that I put together here, that's kind of one of the reasons why I like this top so much, because it's a little bit more fitted.
Right, so it has the Eureka neckline, and you're right. Now, one thing, I was being kind of flippant there. One way you can bring it in is to pinch out the shoulder all the way down the front and the back, and that's how you narrow this. Go to about the middle of the sleeve of the shoulder seam and figure out how much narrower you want it and fold it out. But you're right, this is done for you. Yeah. I mean, I think I'm not saying that you can't alter patterns, but patterns have a certain characteristic to them, and they're designed that way. And you know, if that's not suitable to your body size or type or your taste, then I think you move on to something that is. And you know, life's too short, in my opinion, to fuss with patterns to the degree of changing what they started out to be.
Right.
Can you list patterns that would be good summer dresses?
Can we list
Well,
patterns that
Eureka.
would be good summer dresses? The Eureka, the Hugo.
The Cottage makes a great dress.
I made a Florence dress a couple weeks ago that I really liked.
Yep.
And then, of course, our actual dresses, the gardenia, the Edgewater.
Yes.
You could do a Memphis with short sleeves.
Yep.
I mean, the gardenia.
The gardenia is the perfect summer dress.
Yeah, exactly.
It has the right sleeve
Yeah.
style. It's
Yeah.
already long for you.
And you don't have to mess with it.
Exactly. And it can be in very summery, sheer almost fabrics, lawns, voiles, batistes. We had a discussion about that earlier.
Yeah.
There's been a couple questions about the paisley silk that's like right in the center. I
Okay.
think it's sold out, so I just wanted to see if you could just mention that.
This one.
Right.
So there were questions about this paisley silk. I'm guessing it's sold out. We had only a couple in cuts. So if you don't see it, it's probably gonzo.
There's a question about how much yardage is needed for the new shirt pattern that's coming out in July.
2 1/8 of 54-inch wide fabric, correct?
2 1/4.
2¼
And that's the yardage needed for the new shirt that's coming out in July.
Yeah, thank you
those
for
of
repeating that.
Sorry. That's my job.
There's a question about how much of each fabric is needed if you're making a Eureka skirt.
How much of each fabric is needed if you're making a Eureka skirt?
I don't know if I know the answer to that offhand.
Just get a yard of each and play with it.
A yard of each would definitely do it.
Yeah. Because then if you
Yeah,
decide you
a
want to
yard of
switch
each.
it, yeah,
Yeah.
we'd just do a yard of each.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a question. The rayon that's white background with huge red multicolored print.
This one?
Trying to follow, looks like there's a conversation.
Oh, okay.
Going. But let's hope that's it.
Okay.
They're wanting-
Someone wanted to see this.
Okay.
Here it is. I was trying to think, I think at our So Kansas, someone bought this for pants. Did I make that up? Or at least we talked about it. I think
If they didn't, they should have.
Yeah, I think someone got this for pants.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Definitely. The green yellow print used for the Eureka, is it still available? I think it's the other Eureka.
Oh, that one, that is long gone,
No.
Yeah,
This fabric is gone.
yeah, that was
sadly.
popular.
That was gone in about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
A lot of love for this show today. A
Oh,
lot of
good.
People really like
Oh,
this
good.
show.
Thank you.
Question probably for Betsy. What are the most fitted patterns for us teensy folk?
What are the most fitted patterns for us teensy folk? Well, you know, actually, we were talking, I am going to put together a show, a tutorial on that. But offhand, I would say I love the MixIt top because it's got a little bit of dart and it's cut a little bit closer. I do like a Picasso pants. I do them in an extra small, and they fit me, I think, really well.
The gardenia.
The gardenia, for sure. What else do I... Again, you know, when I do things like if I make the Florence into a dress, actually, and the Florence is great because those shoulders fit me perfect. That's why I like it so much. But when I do the variations and make them into dresses, if I need to take out just a little bit, I will, just to get that proportion back.
Right. If you remember a couple of weeks ago, you did a Florence dress and you drew it in with the belt in the back. Mm-hmm. But you could shape those side seams as much as you want, put in French darts in the back, things like that.
Pencil pants, that's a nice
Pencil
slim
pants.
pant, is really good too. But yeah, we've talked about having me put together a little document of all that. So I'll get on that.
All right.
There was some conversation about sewing retreats, because you're talking about going on a sew vacation, and wanted to know if there's going to be any more Sew Kansas dates.
We will have our last 2022 So Kansas in August, and then we have not had our planning meeting to know what to do about 2023 yet. So we don't have any on the schedule yet. Sorry.
We'll let you know.
We'll let you know.
I know, I never get to do a sewing vacation because I'm always working at sewing at other people's sewing vacations.
I know.
Yes.
Which is fun, but like you still have a
it's
sense
different.
of responsibility.
It's different. Yeah.
Linda, you're going on, like, you are actually going to be on vacation.
Yeah. This
I
is
am.
like an actual vacation.
I am taking my phone, but that's about it.
We won't bother
You're
you.
not helping
We
anyone
won't
else
bother
do
you.
so.
No.
People would love a program about different types of fabric.
Okay.
Good. Can you hold up the coral pink and black toucan fabric? I think you held it up.
The toucan can. Where'd she go? Oh, she's hiding.
I can't believe I don't have something out of this.
I have some at home. I
You
haven't
do?
used it yet. Oh yeah. I was gonna miss out on this one.
there's a blue fabric right behind you, Betsy, that has a really nice peach in it. I wonder if
Yes.
you can mix those two.
Oh.
Erin thinks we could mix toucan with this beautiful blue that has a lovely peach in it.
That's
Yeah, it's pretty. I think this is a really pretty rayon.
It is pretty.
Yeah. It's a great blue. I know if you're a blue person, this is like the perfect
Yep.
color.
all right. I don't see any other questions. Any other fabrics that were missed?
Oh, we probably didn't show every single one, but we got close, I
We
think.
did, yeah.
Yeah, another little voile in here and a silk here that we didn't show. Well, every fabric is on sale this week for 50% off. Did you all
50%
hear
off.
that?
Big 5-0.
Yeah, this is the time for us to think about. Well, actually, as I say this, I'm thinking about ordering for fall.
Right.
But a lot of these fall into a fall category.
fall, yeah.
So they're not necessarily all summery. So all the fabrics are 50% off. I think there's almost 50 fabrics.
There were quite a
Or
few.
45 or something
in the
like-
40s.
In the 40s, which is a lot. And pattern-wise, this is going to be a little bit
gosh.
trickier. We have the Coco, the Ikena, the Hugo,
Valencia.
Valencia, Cottage, Eureka, Zayn, West End.
I think that's it. Whatever's on there.
Yeah, a
that's
lot of
on
patterns
there.
on sale.
A lot of patterns on
The
sale.
ones we've talked about.
Yeah.
And we also have some kits made up of this
Yes.
particular garment. A fair number of them, actually. And this is a good price, and it also gives you the cutting layout for doing it just
PCs.
like this.
Yeah.
So take advantage of all of these fabrics in one kit.
Yeah, and I think that's 25% off.
25%
if I'm not
off for these
incorrect.
kits. Yeah,
Which is it's a pretty good discount.
it's pretty good. Yeah.
So,
There is one comment. Somebody said lots of fabrics are gone already, and I would maybe tell them that, like, we'll check back. It might get updated as we cut and know.
Yes, once these go into our cutting room, we'll be able to, some might have gone off. Deb gets a little bit nervous, and sometimes she'll take something off of the website because she thinks it might be out, but she won't know quite yet. So there will be updates, so check back. Yeah. And maybe we'll put some new ones on sale
yeah.
later on
Yeah.
in the week or something like that.
Yeah.
If we sell all of these today,
We'll put some
start
more on
over.
sale.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, is that everything?
Yes.
All right, well, I will be back next week. I know what I'm going to talk about, but I can't remember it at the moment.
That's okay.
I thank you very much, Betsy,
Yes,
for coming
yes,
over.
sure.
Betsy works out of our Kansas City office, as I like to say.
I'm the East Coast.
Yeah, the East Coast girl, but does all of our marketing and knows all about the fabrics and puts them on the website and really works with our website continually. So she knows everything. Even if you email me, you're likely to hear from Betsy or Erin or even Alex.
Yeah.
I've been passing off some of those questions.
Delegating.
Delegating is what it's called.
Delegating.
Yes. So at any rate, we'll see you next week, and thank you for joining us today.